On today's bonus webisode, I'm going to introduce you to Seascapes and Sand. This is a new collection from hot off the press, and Heidi has been having a wonderful time. So won't you please come play with us? Well, before we get into the wonderful projects, I just want to go over what we're going to be showing. So, Seascapes and Sand, there's a product video on the homepage of all of the items. So if you want to see every single sheet, that's a perfect way to see them. So Seascapes and Sand, 12 by 12 pattern cardstock. I love that whale. Of course, there are ideas on the back of the package, as you would expect. 12 sheets there. There's also coordinating cardstock, solid cardstock, and you're going to get 6 colors. You're going to get 2 of each for a total of 12 papers, 12 sheets of cardstock. Then there's also the 6 by 6 cardstock with 24 sheets, and you get 72 cutouts here. You get 36 cutouts in the 12 by 12. There are also, and I particularly love these are the cutting dies. There are 7 of them, and look at that wonderful jellyfish and the little seahorse with the dad. So you've got enough to create wonderful scenes. We also have chipboard, as you would expect, with 15 pieces. Again, that curving jellyfish is so fun. The die cuts, there are 31 of them, and they just are so easy to add to the projects. Okay, speaking of projects, let's get started. And here's our first one. We'll get in just a tad bit closer, and I just really love this. And it's been if we've ever done this before, it's been a long time, but you see this raised offset circle is on top of that wonderful 12 by 12 pattern cardstock. So what Heidi did is she took our regular 5 by 6.5 inch cards, and she used this paper. Now you can see, of course, where that whale is, and so she cut it. All of the directions are down below in the gallery, as always, and so she cut that out. Now, to do this piece, you are going to use, if you want to do exactly what she did, you're going to use both of your sheets that are in the paper pack. If you want to use a different paper to do this one, that's perfectly fine. Now what Heidi did, which I think is brilliant, is on her second sheet, she die cut out the circle. So she used our 12 circle and scallop. So notice that she did, these are without the scallops. She used the largest one there. Then she offset one to be in the center of it, but offset it. Taped those down and ran them through her die cutting machine, and I think it's just gorgeous. She did foam tape it on top. Then this piece she matted onto one of the 3 blues that are in the cardstock collection. This is the lightest one, and simply added one of the die cuts. Now this is the one that says "Smile, you are loved," and she added it there, and then she took a bow out of our orange and peach ribbon collection and added it. Notice that orange really picks up the coral color, just does a really nice job. Now for the inside, she used the same blue that she has on the outside, and then this is the evacuated circle that she had in here. So nothing goes to waste. You wouldn't want it to. The sparkle on, well, that is another of the die cuts. You can see it's right there. And just again, now on her ribbon, what she did is she cut one piece, folded it in half, and zodded it underneath the end of this, and then just knotted another piece on top. So it looks like a bow, but it's really so much easier to do. So that is how that wonderful card was done. I absolutely love it. Now let's go into a slimline. Now you know we have the slimline cards, and they have such a wonderful favorite for people. And this is using also the 12 by 12 cardstock. Now, let me show you what her base is. And it is this paper. So she's really using the sandy part of it to go down on her card. You can see that crab, that greenish crab. Well, that's right here underneath. So it just gives you kind of the texture of everything. Then she has taken the solid colored cardstock and cut squares out of it. And that's going to end up going on top of her paper. But you know, before she attached that paper, she did something else, and she took the jute twine, and you can see there's a lot of different colors. There's brown and coral in there. In fact, there are a ton of colors, and they're all 72 inches long, so that's nice. And she just wrapped it around that piece of cardstock, then glued it to her card, and then zodded a jute bow on top. And I think that's really plays well with the nautical theme. Now let's get into the chipboard. And the chipboard, as we said earlier, there are lots of shapes in it. So she selected 4 different ones. There are 2 seahorses. There's also the ship's wheel, as well as a crab is what she's chosen. You can choose anything. And she did this very simply by hitting each of them with a Versamark ink pad. You can also use the Wow embossing powder. We carry Crafter's Companion, Watermark ink pad, so any of them will do the trick. Just attach it, and then she used the gold superfine embossing powder. So put that on and then heat it with your heat gun, and it will melt and will just look like that. Now you notice that she did put some of the jute on opposite corners of the pieces. When you're doing 3 things like this that should be evenly spaced, here's a tip. Attach the one in the middle first. That way it's easier to position the other 2 and get that measurement that's in the middle exactly the same. That way it looks like it all matches. Now let's go into the inside of her card. And what she did was to take that same piece. Somehow I have lost, oh, here it is. Okay, so on the front of her card, she used the part going over to the crab, right? On the inside, she used the other part of it right there. So you can see that shell right there, and just cut a piece, used the blue that she used on the front of her card. She put this piece, and then this is one of the cutouts, and it is, let's see, You Are Amazing. There it is. Right there. Isn't that pretty? All collaged and ready for you. And glued that on the right side, and then went back with the embossing powder and the VersaFine to do the shell and the dolphin. So really nice. And notice that the jute is going up and down. On the front of the card, it's going side to side. It works very, very nicely. Okay, so that's all taken care of. Now, let's come into a really fun card. And this is going into the 6x6 paper pack. Now, do you see that window in the middle? Okay, are you ready? I'm going to open it. And when I open it, this is a spinner card. It's been a while since I've seen a spinner card, and I think they're really, really fun. Okay, let me show you what Heidi did. Now, as I said, now this is a 5x6.5 inch card, 6.5 by 5, that's how we say it. And what Heidi did is she took a 6x6 paper, and it's this one, just with the outlines at the bottom, and she cut it to the measurements that are in the gallery, and she matted it onto that coral colored paper, which is like this. Now, she did not permanently attach it to the front of her card because she wants to cut this window, okay? And then we also have to attach this baker's twine before everything is cemented down in place. So she just simply tacked it in place, and then she used the square and scalloped dies, and of course this is just the square one, and placed it on the front of her card, and then ran it through her die cutting machine, okay? So then that gave her the window. So when that was done, she lifted the paper off, but we're not quite ready to attach it yet. So what she did is she die cut 2 of that turtle, and I'll tell you, the turtle has raised areas, as does the seahorses, and that is going to give some dimension. And Heidi wanted to accent that. So she took a blending brush and the silver metallic ink pad and just lightly brushed over the die cut piece. Now this is on one of the darker blue areas. For the back side, of the turtle. She used a mottled coloring, but she did the same thing so far as brushing it with the silver. Okay, now when she had those two pieces ready, she put extra sticky tape down the center of one, positioned the baker's twine. The baker's twine is going to come from the blue ribbon set. There's actually baker's twine in there. Yeah, you can see it. It keeps us with the blue coloring that's going on in our papers. And so she put the extra sticky tape in the middle of the turtle and put the baker's twine in the center of it. We wanted about 4.5 inches long, and then put the other turtle, which you're going to have to flip over so that they match, okay? Then she used extra sticky tape on this opening of the card and made sure that she had this pretty tight in position. Then you can glue your papers on front, okay? So you kind of have to work from the bottom up. Now, around this frame, she has placed the thin line dazzles. Now, this package has 4 colors, black, white, gold, and silver. You can see that she used the silver. And once again, it's so nice to see how just those thin lines add such a nice finishing touch. Okay? Now, the other pieces that are here, well, the chipboard, this time, it has also been tapped with that silver metallic ink pad. Okay? So you can see it on the coral, on the starfish, on the seashell. And there they are again. And then these two pieces are out of our die cuts. So we have our Good Vibes Only right there. That's fun. And the Happy Birthday is right there. And again, they're just going to pop out. So they're both foam taped. This one is foam taped with 2 layers of foam tape. So that just takes care of the front of our card. For the inside of our card, well, that's going to be a different sheet of the 6x6 with that little seahorse there. And you can see this chipboard, excuse me, this die cut, and then more of the chipboard. And then she also added, both on the front and on the inside, this is called, appropriately enough, sea turtle shimmers. So just take your Cosmic Shimmer Specialist glue and just add some drops of it, and then you can place your shimmers. And I'll tell you that jewel pick is really handy for that. So then before you put this in an envelope, just spin your little turtle like I'm doing, place it like there, and notice that dark turtle is against the light paper. And isn't that cute how the seahorse is just kind of looking at it? And when the recipient opens that, they're going to have a nice surprise, just like the one that you just had. Okay, let's get into our final card. And Heidi has done something really interesting with this one also. And I say also because she's done so many wonderful things. Now, again, this is a 6.5 by 5 card. And Heidi went into our solid cardstock and just covered the front of that card with the darkest brown. There's 2 browns, a tan and a brown, the darkest one. The way we do that, use whatever adhesive you like. I like glue stick, but that's just me. So I take my glue stick, go around the edge of the card, make an X in the middle, and then I position my cardstock on top along the fold and along one edge, and then I press it down, turn it over, and I use my scissors to cut it. That way it is perfect. It's perfect every single time. Okay. Now the other thing she did, and I think this is so clever, and again, I don't think I've seen it in a long, long time. She took this paper and she cut it to size. Again, that's in the gallery. And she matted it on the medium blue. So it's on this one, so you can kind of see how that looks. And glued that to the front of her card. So she's got 1 layer. Now, with this same paper, she cut 2 more sheets. Now you get 4 of every single one. So she cut 1 just going above the sand. She cut another going into the blue area. And then she layered them. So this becomes foam taped on this. And then this becomes foam taped on top, and you get some dimension. So can you see that? And what can you do with that dimension? Well, I'll tell you. Take our cutting dies and die cut them out of white cardstock. And then do you see the sheen on those? Isn't that pretty? There's kind of a coppery sheen. Well, what she did is she went to our old friend Opal Polish, and she opened up the jar. Let me see what the name of this is. Copper Pearl Opal Polish. I'm just going to open this. Now there is the sponge applicator on top. You probably remember that. And she simply dabbed it onto her white cardstock. And isn't that pretty? And it's just a dab. Now I'm not going to do it because I don't want it on my fingers, because I don't want to get it all over the cards. But I think it is just such a wonderful, wonderful look. So very fun. And this is going to go a long way, as you can imagine. Now, even though she's got that dimension, she did more. So she went, do you see the glittering? Okay. So she took the glue, put it on her finger, and went along that row, really the two cut areas. And then she went to our old friend Diamond Dust and sprinkled it on. Sometimes I like to kind of press it in a little bit. Are you familiar with Diamond Dust? Now this is the 14-ounce container. This is a honkin' bit, but there is also a 3-ounce, so you don't have to get this. But let me open it and just let you see. Now this is glass, but it's not going to cut you, but it is tiny particles, and they add such a wonderful look. Heidi told me that this is the sea foam, but you can also use it for snow, just so many things, or fairy dust, whatever you like. Now her final touch is, this is one of the cutouts, by the way, from the 6x6 paper pad, so just in case you wanted to see where that was. And I love how she's got the seahorse kind of nestling that, and the jellyfish kind of wrapping around. Just really fun. Her final piece is using the wishing bubbles, and this is Crush. It's this kind of coral color, and she's got one down here, one here, one here, one here, so kind of going up her card. So very fun. And on the inside of her card, well, she used the back side of her 6x6 paper, covered her whole thing with the blue, just like she did on the front, put this offset, and then added more of the die cuts embellished with the opal polish and more of the wishing bubbles. Oh, so pretty. Isn't that nice? Wow, the woman has done a great job. So once again, we're sharing with you Seascapes. We've got our cutting dies, which I think you're gonna love, our die cuts, all 31 of them, our chipboard, all 15, our 6x6, as well as our 12x12, and to keep everything together, our solid cardstock. All of this is now available exclusively at paperwishes.com. As always, in the gallery below are complete instructions. That way you don't have to memorize what I've told you. There's also a money saver. Where is it? Can I hear you? On the right side of your screen. If you're watching us on YouTube, please come on over, sign up for our emails, and join us in all the fun. We'd love to have you, and thank you so much for being the very best part of paperwishes.com.